The honourable member for Edmonton Riverview.
We are all aware of the anti-racism demonstrations around the world. One of the key issues emerging from this movement is the lack of affordable housing. This UCP government reduced the $120 million Indigenous Housing Capital Plan to $35 million over 4 years. To the Minister of Seniors and Housing, why did you slash the budget for affordable housing, leaving thousands of Indigenous people in Alberta without affordable housing?
The Honourable Minister of Seniors and Housing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government is committed to working with the colleagues in Indigenous relations and Indigenous community across Alberta to review the current program and also improve it is to better serve Indigenous community. We are committed to the strong and respectful relationship with Indigenous people who are vital to our province's social, economics, and cultural fabric.
The honourable member for Edmonton Riverview.
Given that there are currently more than 6,000 homeless Albertans and Indigenous people are overrepresented in this group, and given that the Alberta Rural Development Network released a 40-page report in April showing that there is an increasing need for more affordable housing due to COVID-19 pandemic, to the Minister, since the publishing of this report, has your ministry consulted with housing providers to implement some of the study's findings?
The Honourable Minister of Seniors and Housing.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the affordable housing is extremely important in Albertans who's in need most. And we definitely identified that. And we will continue to do that. And beside that, for housing, in operating budget, we got allocated $263 million and capital $417 million for affordable housing. We are continuous to working for nonprofit organizations and all the stakeholders, all the partners that will continue to build housing for those Albertans and who need it most. Thank you.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And given that the most recent budget had no new money for affordable housing, and given that the community agencies report a growing number of Alberta families at risk of homelessness due to the lack of affordable housing, and given our government invested $1.2 billion in housing while you cut the Indigenous Housing Capital Plan, to the Minister of Seniors and Housing, you frequently brag about your pandemic response. Why didn't you include investing in affordable housing?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we are looking after our Albertan, especially in affordable housing, Mr. Speaker. The previous NDP government failed Indigenous people in Alberta, Mr. Speaker. They needed affordable housing under the Indigenous Housing Capital Program, not build one unit under the government. And our government is committed to begin a true partner with Alberta Indigenous community. And just for the record, our Minister of Indigenous has been doing a fantastic job in connecting with the Indigenous people. We are continuing